this is Gallon Gamer here, and welcome back to another locomotive review. For today, we're going to be reviewing the Tillig Br 56. So, if we lift up the box here and I show you the end, you should be able to read the details on there. So the locomotive number, if you wanted to buy this from their shop, is 02160. So, now let's unbox this. So it has this nice sleeve design, where if you pull it out, it reveals nothing except a nice foam inlay. So if we take that out, there she is. And now if I grab it by the running board, which is decently thick, you can see that this is a nicely detailed locomotive with, daylight coming underneath the boiler, which is really nice. Yep. And I think with this, it's now time to switch on over to the white background and show you the details of this locomotive. Alright, here are the details of this rather nice locomotive then. But first I'd like to mention that most of the main body has been using the same tooling as from many years prior during the part of history where Germany was split in two. So, around the front of the locomotive we have some really nice lamps with rather fragile hoops. Then we have nicely printed detail on the smoke box and a separately fitted bell. Then around the side of the locomotive we have lots more detail, mostly molded, and a rather serious parting line, which is quite obvious. Then, a bit lower down, we have some really nicely molded valve gear, which is very nice but can have some problems. The pistons also have a lot of detail, and one thing I do definitely find nice is that you can see some light underneath the boiler. Then around the cab area we have lots of nicely readable detail, as well as a caution, don't drink the water in here sign. Then around the back we have more working lamps, and so do on the front, and more nicely printed detail. The coal load is also decently nice, but you can definitely see that this was also used from the tooling all the way back. Alright, and that's gonna do it for the details. So, I'm gonna go over to the other me and do the history. Right, and now we're on to the history. So, between 1919 and 1928, 846 of these locomotives were produced for the East German Railway Division and Prussian State Railways. These locomotives were simplifications of the earlier G8.3 locomotives by getting rid of the third cylinder, thus being classified as the G8.2. The East German Railway Division gave these locomotives the designation of BR56, meaning a locomotive with a 280 wheel configuration. After the Second World War, only 650 were left in Germany. These locomotives were quickly removed from service in the west of Germany. In the east of Germany, they survived until the early 1970s. Only one of these locomotives has been preserved, and it's in the Locomotive Museum in Warsaw. Alright, this'll do it for the history. So now I'm going to move on to the performance. Alright, now that I've told you the history and the details of the model, it's time to get on with some performance testing. So, here she is down on the track, and if I go turn on the lights, which are one directional, so there's no red lights at the end of the locomotive, because they'd be at the end of the train. And now let's check the slow speed crawl, and very slowly ahead now. With this thing being DCC fitted, there is a notch on the controller which I can't go slower, so slow as it will go, and go. Is it even moving? Okay. There is the point where it won't go any slower. And wow, that is very slow. So, let's go ahead and put it over some points. Right up here. Bit more speedy towards this end. And stop now. Flip over the points. And now reverse with the lights on, the tender on. and just over this set of points at a relatively slow speed. And no flickering of the lights so far. Still none over the dead space. Yep, this thing is very nice in that regard. It goes over points really nicely. Now over the second set, into the fiddle yard. And would you look at that? No stopping at all. Yeah, so now I think it's time to put this thing onto a train and start the running session. So, cut to that happening. Alright, with all of the history details and performance now out of the way, it is time for this thing to get some running. So I've hooked it up to a nice set of 4 passenger coaches which have been retrofitted with illumination. So those now give off a nice warm yellowish light. Now I'm just gonna set her off, turn the lights on, and get you some nice shots of it going through the tunnel. Alright, and off she goes. Alright, I think that should conclude the running. So, now it's on to my ratings for this very nice locomotive. Alright, here are my ratings then for this rather nice locomotive. The price is a 3 out of 5 because it's rather expensive at like 220 euros RRP. The performance is a solid 5 out of 5. And the realism, I'll give that a 4 out of 5 because it uses a relatively old body. So that gives it an overall of 12 out of 15, which means if you can find one cheap, it is definitely worth to buy one. So that'll do it for my ratings. So thank you for watching. That was it. I hope you two tune in next time, and bye.